The vast darkness of space sparkled with countless stars, but none shone brighter than the golden ships of the Vorthan Empire. For over 3,000 years, these crystalline beings had swept across the galaxy like a storm of light and metal. Every world they touched became theirs. Every species they met either bowed down or disappeared forever. Commander Li Hian stood on the bridge of Earth's exploration ship, the New Dawn. He had been searching for new worlds when the scanner started screaming warnings. Massive shapes appeared out of nowhere, surrounding his small fleet like wolves, circling sheep. The alien vessels were beautiful and terrible at the same time, their hulls glowing with inner fire. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," his communications officer whispered, her voice shaking. The main screen flickered to life, showing a being that made Li Hian's blood run cold. Emperor Kale, the Undying, was tall as a tree, his body made of living crystal that pulsed with golden light. When he spoke, his voice sounded like mountains breaking apart. "I am Kale, master of 1,000 worlds," the Emperor said, his eyes burning like twin suns. "Your species is young and weak. You will surrender your planet to my protection, or I will turn it to ash and dust." Li Hian tried to keep his voice steady. "We are peaceful explorers. You mean no harm to your empire?" Kale's laughter was like breaking glass. "Harm, little creature? You could not harm us if you tried for 1,000,000 years. But you amuse me. I will give your leaders one day to decide. Submit or die." The transmission ended, leaving Li Hian staring at empty space. Around him, his crew sat in stunned silence. They had always dreamed of meeting other intelligent life among the stars. This was not what they had hoped for. Back on Earth, President Kim Soo paced in the emergency meeting room deep beneath the Capitol. The world's greatest minds sat around the table, but none had answers that could save humanity. The alien emperor's message had been broadcast to every nation, every leader, every person on the planet. "How many ships do they have?" Kim Soo asked. General Park Min-ho, a man who had never lost a battle, looked defeated. "Our best guess is over 10,000 vessels in this sector alone. Each one could destroy our entire space fleet without taking damage." "What about our nuclear weapons?" "Useless. Their shields can stop anything we have. We tested every scenario in the computers. We lose every time." Park Min-ho's hand shook. As he spoke, "Mr. President, if we fight them now, every human being will die. Our children, our families, everyone." Dr. Han Yuki sat quietly in the corner, studying data from the encounter. She was Earth's smartest scientist, the woman who had helped build their first faster-than-light engines. Her mind was already working on the problem, but she needed time they did not have. "There has to be another way," Kim Soo said desperately. "There is," Park Min-ho replied, his voice heavy with shame. "We surrender. We become their slaves and hope they let us live." The room fell silent. Outside the bunker, 8 billion people went about their lives, not knowing that their freedom was about to end. Children played in parks, couples walked, hand in hand. Scientists worked on discoveries that would never matter now. 20-4 hours later, the Golden Fleet returned. This time, hundreds of ships darkened Earth's sky. They hung over every major city like a promise of destruction. President Kim Soo sat in the shuttle that would take him to the surrender ceremony, his heart breaking with every breath. The signing took place on a Vorthon command ship orbiting Earth. The document was written in symbols that hurt human eyes to look at, but the meaning was clear. Earth belonged to the Vorthan Empire now. Humans were no longer free, as Kim Soo signed away his planet's independence. Vorthon administrators were already landing in major cities. They moved through the streets like living statues, their crystal, bodies reflecting the fear in human faces. They spoke in voices like grinding stone, issuing orders that could not be disobeyed. Work camps were established. The strongest humans were sent to mine rare metals on distant asteroids. The smartest were taken to serve in alien laboratories. Children were separated from their families for education in Vorthan ways. The Empire had conquered Earth without firing a shot, but in hidden laboratories carved deep into mountain rock, Dr. Han Yuki worked by candlelight to avoid detection. She studied every piece of Vorthan technology she could find, searching for weaknesses. The aliens thought humans were primitive and stupid. They had no idea that their greatest mistake was letting Earth's brightest scientists live as she worked. Through the long nights, Yuki made herself a promise. The Vorthans had won today, but this war was far from over. Somewhere in their perfect technology was a flaw. Somewhere in their mighty empire was a crack that could bring it all down. She would find it, no matter how long it took. Earth had fallen, but Earth would rise again. 3 years had passed since the golden ships first darkened Earth's sky. In the ruins of what was once Seoul, Captain Johanna crawled through broken subway tunnels that the Vorthons had forgotten existed. The alien overlords lived in their shining towers above ground, never thinking to look in the dark places where humans still moved freely. Hannah's hands were dirty and scarred from years of hiding underground. Her uniform was torn and patched, but her eyes still burned with the fire that had kept her alive. Behind her, 12 other fighters followed in silence. They carried weapons made from scrap metal and stolen alien parts, nothing that could hurt. A Vorthan warrior, but enough to make the occupation forces nervous. "Remember," she whispered to her team, "we hit the supply depot fast and quiet. Take what we can carry and disappear before they know we were there." The memory of her brother. Chode gave her strength. The Vorthons had worked him to death in the mines beyond Mars, all because he had refused to move faster when a guard shouted at him. Day had always been stubborn, even as a child. That stubbornness had killed him, but it had also inspired 1,000 other acts of rebellion. Across the planet, Vorthans were learning that conquering Earth was easier than controlling it. Every day brought new problems. Factory workers built flaws into the equipment they made. Computer programmers hid small errors in their code that would cause systems to fail months later. Even the janitors found ways to resist, using cleaning chemicals to slowly eat away at alien machinery. The crystal beings had ruled 1,000 worlds, but they had never met a species quite like humans. Other conquered races had accepted their fate after a few years of occupation. Humans just got angrier. In a hidden laboratory built inside an abandoned mine, Dr. Han Yuki worked by the light of stolen Vorthan energy cells. 3 years of study had finally paid off. The device in front of her looked like a simple communication device, but it held the secret to the Empire's power. "It's all connected," she whispered to herself, studying the quantum patterns flowing through the alien technology. Every ship, every weapon, every computer in their empire talks to the homeworld through these quantum channels. They can't function without constant updates from the central command. Her discovery was both terrifying and hopeful. The Vorthan Empire was like a vast spider web with the Emperor's throne world at the center. Cut the web, and the whole thing would collapse. But the web was protected by the most powerful defenses in the galaxy, far away. In a secret base built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, Engineer Otaman put the finishing touches on humanity's most desperate gamble. The facility was hidden among the mining operations that fed resources to the Vorthan war machine. 2 alien eyes. It looked like just another rock processing plant. In reality, it was a shipyard building vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "The Ghost Protocol is ready for testing," Taman reported to his small team of engineers. They had spent 3 years perfecting their design, using salvaged alien technology and human creativity to build something that shouldn't exist. The ship in front of them was small and ugly, built from scrap metal and powered by a fusion reactor. That barely worked. But hidden inside its crude hull was technology that could make it invisible to Vorthon sensors. They had learned to bend space itself, creating a bubble of twisted reality around their vessels. Captain Lihan, aged 10 years into 3 since his capture. The Vorthons had kept him prisoner on their diplomatic station. Thinking he might be useful for controlling Earth's population, they had been wrong. Every day of captivity had been a day of learning, watching, and planning. Now, free through a prisoner exchange. Lihan gathered the survivors of Earth's original space fleet in secret locations throughout the solar system. Ships that the aliens thought were destroyed had been hidden in the shadows of gas giant moons. Crews that were supposed to be dead had been training in zero-gravity facilities carved into ice comets. "We can't win a straight fight," Li Heian told his captains in an encrypted communication, "but we don't need to. We just need to survive long enough to cut the puppet strings." The resistance was growing beyond what the Vorthians could imagine. Every human taken to work on alien worlds became a potential spy. Every transport ship carrying tribute to the Empire also carried hidden messages and supplies for the rebellion. The crystal beings saw their slaves as broken and defeated, but humans were building something in the darkness, in the deepest tunnels under Seoul. Captain Chohanna looked at the stolen supplies her team had captured: weapons, communication equipment, and most importantly, data chips containing Vorthan military codes. Each small victory brought them closer to the day when they could strike back. The aliens had claimed their galaxy, but they had made one fatal mistake. They had left humanity alive, and humans never forgot a grudge. The price of submission was about to come due. The Vorthans would pay it in full. The time for hiding was almost over. The explosion lit up Europa's dark sky like a second sun. One moment the Vorthan supply depot was there, its crystal towers gleaming against the ice. Next moment, nothing remained but scattered metal and fading light. The attack had lasted less than 3 seconds, but it shook the entire Vorthan Empire in his golden palace on the throne world. Emperor Kale stared at the security footage with growing anger. His crystalline fingers drummed against his command chair as he watched the recording for the 10th time. Empty space, then sudden destruction. No ships, no weapon signatures, no trace of who had done this. "Impossible," he hissed, his voice like grinding diamonds. "Humans are insects. They barely know how to leave their own planet." But the reports kept coming. A fuel station near Mars destroyed. A communication relay in the asteroid belt gone silent. Each attack was perfect, leaving no evidence except empty space where Vorthon installations used to stand. What the Emperor didn't know was that Captain Chohanna was watching from a ship that wasn't there. The vessel she commanded looked like empty space to Vorthon sensors, its hull wrapped in fields that bent light and energy around it. Dr. Hanyuki's research had made the impossible real. "Target destroyed," Hannah reported quietly into her communication. "Device, Ghost 3, returning to base." Her ship was ugly and small, built from salvaged metal and powered by a reactor that should have exploded years ago. But it was invisible, and that made it the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. Around her, 12 other ghost ships moved through space like hunting wolves, striking at the Empire's weak points. The Ghost Fleet had been born from desperation and genius. Engineer Otaman had spent 3 years solving an impossible puzzle: how to hide a spaceship from sensors that could detect a single atom. The answer had come from studying Vorthan technology itself, learning to twist space-time into knots that confused alien computers. "The secret is in the garbage," Temin had explained to the Resistance leaders months ago, pointed to the orbital shipyards around Earth, where mountains of scrap metal floated in neat formations. To the Vorthons, it looked like typical human waste. They didn't realize that every piece had been carefully placed. Hidden inside old fuel tanks were fusion reactors. Broken satellite dishes were actually powerful transmitters. Chunks of twisted metal contained computer systems that could hack Vorthan networks. For 3 years, humans had been building a secret fleet under their conquerors' noses. Disguised as trash, the rebellion was spreading faster than the Vorthans could track. On mining worlds throughout the galaxy, human workers began to coordinate their actions with mysterious precision. A drill would break down just as an important shipment was due. Computer systems would develop glitches that deleted critical data. Supply ships would arrive at the wrong planets, their navigation systems mysteriously corrupted. Li Huan commanded the growing resistance from a base hidden inside a captured asteroid. The facility looked like a normal mining operation from the outside, but its hollowed interior housed the largest human fleet ever assembled. Ships that were supposed to be destroyed years ago waited in the darkness, their crews training for the war to come. "The Vorthines are getting nervous," Li Haiyan told his captains during their daily briefing. "They're moving more troops to guard their supply lines, pulling forces away from the frontier worlds. That's our chance." On distant planets, human slaves received coded messages hidden in their daily food rations. Numbers that looked like nutrition information were actually coordinates. Shipping labels contained battle plans. Even the work schedules carried secret meanings that slowly spread the rebellion across the galaxy. Dr. Han Yuki had been busy too. Her study of Vorthan technology had revealed something amazing. The Empire's strength was also its greatest weakness. Every alien ship, weapon, and computer was connected to the throne world through quantum communication channels. Cut those channels, and the entire Empire would fall apart like a house of cards. "We need to get close to the homeworld," she explained. To President Kim Soo during a secret meeting in the Luna bunker. "The quantum network has a central hub. Destroy that, and their entire fleet becomes useless." Kim Soo, who had aged 20 years in the three since the surrender, looked at the star charts with tired eyes. The Vorthan homeworld was the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy, surrounded by millions of warships and protected by weapons that could destroy solar systems. "How do we get through their defenses?" he asked. "We don't," Yuki replied with a cold smile. "We're already there." The truth was more shocking than the Emperor could imagine. For 3 years, every human taken as tribute to serve on Vorthan worlds had been a volunteer. Every slave ship had carried hidden passengers. Every piece of human-made equipment sent to the Empire contained secret modifications. The Ghost Fleet was just the beginning. Hidden throughout the galaxy on every world the Vorthans controlled, human agents waited for the signal that would bring down the greatest empire in galactic history. The war was about to begin in earnest. General Park Min-ho stared at the holographic map floating in the hidden command center on Luna, thousands of red dots scattered across the galaxy like drops of blood, each one marking a human settlement in Vorthan space. To any alien observer, these dots represented broken populations, defeated workers laboring for their crystal masters. The truth would have terrified the Emperor himself. "Status report," Park Min-ho commanded, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. "All positions confirmed," replied his aide, a young woman whose brother had been taken to the mines 5 years ago. "We have assets on 9,847 worlds across the Empire. Every major military installation, every supply depot, every communication hub has human workers inside." Park Min-ho nodded grimly. For 5 long years, humanity had played the greatest deception in galactic history. Every ship that carried human slaves to distant worlds also carried hidden passengers. Every worker sent to labor in alien factories was actually a trained soldier. Every servant cleaning Vorthan floors was memorizing security codes and mapping escape routes. The Vorthans had thought they were building an empire on human backs. Instead, they had invited their destroyers into every corner of their civilization. Her secret laboratory, Dr. Han Yuki, made final adjustments to the weapon that would end the war. It looked harmless enough, just a small device the size of a coin. But this tiny creation contained 5 years of research into Vorthan quantum technology, compressed into a virus that would spread through their communication networks faster than thought itself. "The quantum channels that connect their empire will become their destruction," she whispered to herself, remembering all the friends lost to alien labor camps. They wanted to control everything from their throne world. Now that connection will kill them all. The virus was elegant in its simplicity. Once released into the Vorthan network, it would spread to every ship, every weapon, every computer in the Empire within minutes. Their technology would turn against them, shutting down life support systems, disabling weapons, and opening airlocks. The crystal beings who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years would find themselves helpless as their own machines destroyed them, far in the outer rim. Captain Lee Hoon floated in the command chair of a ship that looked like a broken asteroid. Holler. Around him, hundreds of similar vessels drifted through space, their hulls disguised with fake mining equipment and garbage collectors. To Vorthan patrols, they appeared to be typical human scavengers. It's too pathetic to worry about. The reality was very different. Hidden beneath the fake exteriors were warships more advanced than anything in the Vorthan fleet. Human engineers had spent years studying alien technology, improving it with their own innovations. These ships could move faster, hit harder, survived longer than their enemies ever imagined. All fleet commanders, this is Li Hian. He broadcast on encrypted channels. Final weapons check. When the signal comes, we have one chance to end this war. Make it count. Across the galaxy. On worlds the Vorthons had controlled for decades, humans in servant uniforms went about their daily tasks. They cleaned floors. In government buildings, served food in military bases, and maintained computers in strategic command centers. Their alien masters barely noticed them, seeing only broken slaves performing menial labor. But these servants carried hidden weapons in their cleaning supplies. Their food trays contained explosive devices. Their maintenance tools were actually sophisticated military equipment. On every world and every facility, humans waited for the signal that would turn servants into soldiers. Captain Chohana stood in the ruins of Seoul, now the secret headquarters of Earth's resistance. Around her, the tunnel systems had been expanded into a vast underground city where millions of humans prepared for the final battle. Children who had grown up under alien rule now wore the uniforms of liberation forces. Parents who had lost everything to Vorthon cruelty sharpened their weapons and checked their equipment. 5 years, Hannah said to her gathered commanders. 5 years of pretending to be defeated while we prepared for this moment. The aliens think they broke us, but they only made us stronger. Engineer Oteman made his final report from the asteroid shipyards. The Ghost Fleet had grown beyond even their wildest dreams. Thousands of invisible ships now patrolled human space, ready to strike at the Empire's heart. Had hidden their preparations for so long, would soon reveal its true purpose. The long game is ending, he told his construction teams. Everything we've built, every sacrifice we've made, it all comes down to the next few hours. President Kim-soo, older and grayer, but still determined, stood before the quantum communicator that would send the signal across the galaxy. One word. From him would begin the largest coordinated military operation in history. 10,000 worlds would rise in rebellion at the same moment. The Vorthon Empire would face enemies on every front, in every system. On every planet they controlled, the crystal beings had conquered the galaxy through superior technology and overwhelming force. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity, an enemy that could lose every battle and still win the war, an enemy that could serve their masters faithfully while planning their destruction. The time for pretending was over. Emperor Kyle felt something wrong in the Golden Palace that had been his home for 3,000 years. The quantum network that connected his empire across the galaxy flickered like a dying candle. Warning lights began flashing on control panels that had never shown error messages before. "My lord," his chief advisor whispered, his crystal body trembling with fear. "We're losing contact with the outer rim worlds. The quantum channels are failing." Kale rose from his throne, his massive form casting shadows across the command center. For millennia, he had ruled through absolute control. Every ship, every weapon, every computer in his empire was connected to this room. He could see everything, control everything, destroy anything with a thought. Now, that connection was breaking. "Apart. Show me," he commanded, his voice like breaking mountains. The holographic display showed his empire as a web of golden light stretching across the galaxy. But the web was turning dark, sector by sector, world by world. The light was going out, and with it, his power. On a supply station near the edge of Vorthon space, a human janitor named Jin Woo quietly finished his work. For 5 years he had cleaned floors and emptied trash bins, while the crystal beings ignored him. He saw him as just another broken slave, too worthless to notice. But Jin Woo had been memorizing security codes, mapping the station's layout, and waiting for this moment. When the signal came through his hidden communicator, he smiled for the first time in years. The cleaning supplies in his cart weren't really cleaning supplies. The mop handle was actually a plasma rifle. The bucket contained enough explosives to destroy the station's power core. And Jinwoo wasn't really a janitor. He was a colonel in Earth's military, and his war had just begun. Across the station, other servants threw off their disguises. The cook in the cafeteria revealed advanced combat armor hidden under his apron. The maintenance worker pulled military-grade weapons from her toolbox. The quiet librarian who had served alien officers for years turned out to be a demolitions expert. Within minutes, every Vorthon facility in the galaxy was under attack from within. Captain, Joe. Hannah felt the familiar tingle of the stealth field as her ship materialized inside the Imperial flagship. The Ghost Fleet had been a distraction, drawing attention while her elite strike team used Dr. Han Yuki's latest breakthrough to teleport directly onto the Emperor's personal vessel. The Vorthan guards never saw them coming. One moment, the bridge was secure. The next, human soldiers appeared from thin air, their weapons trained on the crystal beings who had terrorized the galaxy for so long. Emperor Kale turned slowly to face the human who had dared to invade his sanctuary. Captain Hannah stood before him, no longer the broken woman who had signed Earth's surrender 5 years ago. She wore the uniform of a victorious general, and her eyes burned with the fire of justice. "How is this possible?" Kale asked, his voice barely a whisper. "You are primitives, insects. We crushed your world in a single day." Hannah smiled, a cold expression that would have terrified the Emperor if he had understood human emotions. "You made one mistake, Kale. You thought we would stay broken." In her hidden laboratory, Dr. Han Yuki watched her masterpiece unfold across the galaxy. The virus she had created was spreading through the Vorthan quantum network faster than light. Itself. Every computer, every weapon, every life support system in the Empire was turning against its masters. The crystal beings had built their entire civilization on the idea of perfect control from the center. Now that control was being used to destroy them. Ships opened their airlocks to space. Weapons turned on their own crews. Defense systems shut down just as human liberation fleets appeared from hiding. General Park Minho stood in the command center on Luna, watching as his carefully planned operation unfolded. For 5 years, humanity had played dead while building the largest military force in galactic history. Every defeat had been a deception. Every surrender had been preparation for this moment. "All fleets, this is Park Minho," he broadcast to the hidden armadas throughout human space. "Execute Operation Payback. Show them what happens when you try to conquer Earth." Across the galaxy, ships that the Vorthans thought were destroyed years ago emerged from asteroid fields and gas giant moons. The Ghost Fleet had been real, but it was only the beginning. The true human navy had been hiding in plain sight, disguised as mining vessels, cargo haulers, and space garbage. President Kim Su's voice echoed across 10,000 worlds as he made the announcement that would change the galaxy forever. "Please, people of the galaxy, this is Kim Su of Earth. The Vorthan Empire is no more. Every world they enslaved is now free. Every species they oppressed can now choose their own destiny." Emperor Kale fell to his knees as his empire collapsed around him. The golden web that had connected his worlds for millennia was broken beyond repair. His invincible fleets drifted powerless in space. His crystal warriors found themselves trapped in their own armor as their technology failed. "We should have killed you all," he whispered as Captain Hannah's weapon found its target. "Yes," she replied, "you should have." The Emperor, who had called himself immortal, died like any other tyrant, and his empire died with him. No resurrection. Earth had kept its promise of vengeance, and the galaxy would remember.